Hello. All right. Welcome, guys. I'm so excited to have you here. Happy Friday. And this is going to be a great weekend for crafting and for all kinds of fun stuff. Let's see who we've got. Tell us where you're from. Say hello. I am coming at you from Utah, near Salt Lake City. And we have had an unseasonably warm fall, and it's been nice because we've been able to get outdoors and still kind of gather safely outside, usually longer into the season than we have. Let's see, we've got someone from Arizona, from North Carolina, Michigan, Maryland, Houston. My daughter lives in Houston. Hello. So good to have you from California, from Florida, South Carolina. It is so fun that we can gather from all around virtually and focus on something we love, crafting, right? And this is a great time to get your holiday cards ready. And I really feel like making holiday cards and sending them to loved ones, especially right now, is so important so that we can connect in other ways, outside of face-to-face. So, all right, I'm gonna head behind my craft table here so that we can get started. In this class, let me tell you about myself. Okay, I told you I'm here from Utah, and my name is Allie Dosdell, and I work for We Are Memory Keepers, and I've been with them for about 10 years in different capacities.
Hey, Allie, your sound dropped off. Allie? Hey, Allie? We're sorry. We're working on the sound. She can't hear me. Hey, Allie? Hey, Allie? Hey, Allie? Allie? I can't. She doesn't hear me. Goodness. Hey, Allie? I don't think she sees me. Hey, Allie? Hold on, darling. Hey, Allie. As soon as she's able to get her camera back to work, we will have sound. We truly apologize for that. There we go.
There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. I know some of you left and I apologize for that. This just happens sometimes. I'm not sure why my phone turned off, but we are back. Yay. So I'm gonna go back over and maybe you can tell me where we need to start from.
From the very beginning.
Very beginning. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. We will start from the very beginning. Okay. Let me get this camera up for you. This is sometimes a little bit of a trick. We're going this way. Then we're going this way.
Second. I have to find your phone again so that I can verify your, there it is.
All right. Is that looking okay?
That looks good.
Great. Okay, we're in business, you guys. I apologize. Again, I love technology, but every now and then you get the issues. So we're going to start over again. Let me just make sure the front camera is working okay. All right. Nope, we're good. Okay, let's start over again. I will skip telling you about myself, but I'm going to tell you all about the tools and the stuff we're going to use. All right, paper pad. This is the Holiday Homestead paper pad. It's a really cute kind of farmhouse look, which I really love. So that's the paper we're going to use. And it's got some really pretty like glitter accents and fun things in there, tags and labels that you can cut apart and use. We're going to use this cardstock pad. It's the embossed Christmas embossed cardstock pad, and I love it because it's already got the embossing on there, so you've got some texture, and it's in the traditional Christmas colors that match really well with the paper pad. We're going to use some yarn, some red yarn and twine. This is just kind of jute twine, but it's got some gold kind of threaded through there, mixed in there. And so that's going to be really fun to use. And then washi tape is another favorite of mine for card making because it's flat, but it adds an extra layer of decoration and embellishment. It's easy to use and it's low tax, so you can pull it up and re-stick it down if you need to. So we're going to use some matching Christmas washi tape. All right. So, also eyelets. We've got some eyelets in there that are listed in the class supply list. And that'll be fun. And let's talk about the tools. This is my very favorite part. So this is the Crop-a-Dile. Now let's see if we can get an overhead shot. If my camera is still working, hopefully. Yes, so this is the Crop-a-Dile. And this is our best-selling tool by far of all time. We've had this one for years. And it's great for punching holes, and it's very powerful, so you can punch through leather, the thin wood, thin tin, plastic, chipboard, just about anything. I mean, literally, if it can fit in there, you could probably punch it. And so it's got a lock on it. I'm going to undo the lock, and that just helps you be able to store it a little more compactly. It's got a 3/16 and a 1/8 inch hole punch, 3/16 and 1/8. And then it's got different ways to set different size eyelets. So you pull these cubes out and rotate them around depending on the size of the eyelet that you need to set, okay? And you can do grommets as well. So great tool to have. My husband wants one in his garage. It's just super handy. So, and then we're also going to use this tool. This is called the Works All-in-One tool. Let me go down here so you can see the whole thing. And it is literally a 12-in-1 tool. So if you have a crafter in your life, maybe someone that's kind of just getting started, this is a great tool to get as a gift because they can get their feet wet, kind of, you know, learn how to operate the 12 different tools here. And then if they really like it, they can go on and expand their supplies. It's also great if you have a small craft space because it doesn't take up much room. So let me just take you on a little tour of this tool. So it has a stamping plate that goes right there, and it's got spring-loaded feet so that you can stamp perfectly. And these ridges don't affect your stamping at all if you're using cardstock. If you're using thin like copy paper, then you'll probably want to put just a scrap of cardstock underneath there before you stamp. It cuts, it scores. It also, you can pull this out and you can cut up to, you know, there's up to 14 inches here. It makes envelopes, it makes banners, it makes tags. This is how you make the envelopes, banners, and tags. It also makes tabs, so you can make tab dividers. And then you use these to make pom-poms, tassels, and bows, and those just store in a little compartment down here. And it's got your scoring and bone folder tool down here as well. It also rounds corners and punches holes. And I don't think I've forgotten anything, hopefully, but also back here, you've got magnetic holders. These are for when you're stamping to hold your paper down on the magnetic surface here. So whew, anyway, this is a great tool to have. Even if you're an advanced crafter, if you like to craft on the go, take this sucker with you and you don't need anything else when you craft. So, all right, let's get started. We're going to make 5 different cards. Let me show you what those look like. The first card we're going to make is this cute little pocket card. And this is a great way to add a gift card, to add money, to add a little photo, a special little note, or, you know, some gum or stickers or whatever. So that's the first one we're going to make. And by the way, you can make custom size envelopes to fit each of these cards. So that's a really nice thing about this tool. All right, so that's the first one we're going to make. Then we're going to make this. This is called a slimline card. This is really popular card size right now in the card making world because you can fit this in a business size envelope, a number 10 business size envelope. So we're going to make this. It's got some cute little tabs. So it's kind of an interactive card where you can even add like an update, you know, your family photo, you know, you can add all kinds of fun things to this one. And then after that, we're going to make, I think this is the next one. Either way, it's going to come in here somewhere. So this is a cute little card where we highlight the tags, gift tags, and then happy holidays. It's a pretty simple one. After that, we're going to make a banner card. And this is a 6x6 card, which is another fun size that card makers like to use. And again, you can make a custom 6x6 envelope for that. And then the last card we're going to make is one of my favorite designs to use for the holidays. Just simple paper strips made into a Christmas tree with a cute little pom-pom at the top here that we are going to make with the Works All-in-One tool. So let's get started. Let's make some cards, guys. All right, let me just move these paper pads out of the way so I have some space. Okay, first card. You are going to cut the candy striped paper that's in the paper pad to 8.5 by 5.5. That's your measurements right there. And then you're going to score it in half at 4.25. And one cool thing about the Works All-in-One tool, let me scoot this up a little bit, is that this piece is detached so that you can flip it over for scoring. So you can align your paper exactly where you want it. So let's grab the scoring tool and we're just going to score at 4.25. And then because this tool is also a bone folder, you can get your crease nice and crisp. And that's our card base. So we're going to start with that. Next, you're going to cut a layer for your card with this glitter snowflake paper. And isn't that pretty? I love the snowflake glitter. And then you're going to cut this one to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. That's your first card layer. And what we're going to do with this card layer is we're going to punch holes in it and stick some eyelets in at the top so we can thread some twine through there. So one cool thing about this tool is that you can set this alignment guide to whatever depth you want so that your holes are punched exactly the same depth into your card. So we're going to punch there and then we're going to punch there. Okay, and then we're going to set these eyelets. So let me grab the eyelets, which are right here, and I'll show you how to set them. It's really easy to do. So the first thing we're going to do is take the eyelet. We've just got some basic silver eyelets, and these are 3/8, and we're going to pop them in there in the hole, and then we're going to take this part of the tool up here at the top, and this knob that comes out, we're going to just place that in the center of the eyelet. And then we're going to squeeze, and it's not hard to squeeze. This is a really easy squeeze. So there we've got our eyelet set. You can see it on the back, and we'll do that one more time. And with the second one, and this is just so that we can thread some yarn through. Oops. Oh, I bumped it. Trying to do this up off the table is a little bit of a challenge, but you guys won't have to do that when you're making it. There we go. And then just squeeze. Super easy. Then we're going to grab some twine. Some yarn. And we're just going to thread this through.
Hey, Allie, while you're doing that, can you tell them the measurements of your first paper again?
Yes, that is 8.5 by 5.5. Your card base is 8.5 by 5.5, and you're going to score it at 4 1/4. So it's basically a half sheet of copy paper, of letter size paper, and then that's just scored in half. All right, we're going to just go through one more time. And here's a little trick that I'm going to show you. So cards with yarn or ribbon or twine tied around them on a layer, it kind of looks like well, I should probably do that one more time, but I'm not going to. It kind of looks like you've tied the perfect bow, right? And that's a kind of a question that card makers have. How do you tie the perfect bow and get it to look just right? Well, here's a trick. You don't actually tie the bow, you tie a knot. So let me get this nice and tight before all right, so we just tie a knot and then we trim that. Nice and tight. And then what you do is you make a bow and attach that separately to your twine. So I'm going to show you how to make a bow with this tool. You're going to pull out the pegs. And when you place the pegs on here, how far apart you place them is how big your bow is going to be. So I don't need a super big bow. So I'm just going to put one peg in between, spacing in between. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around twice because I want to do a double loop bow. You can do it one time if you just want a single loop bow. You could do it more than one time, or more than 2 times if you want to have a really nice fancy bow. And then what you do is you cross this right side over the left. You take your left side, go around, bring it under, and then you just tie a knot. And that makes a perfect bow every time, you guys. This is the trick. Okay, so take a look at that. Nice and pretty bow, nice and even. And then we're just going to trim the ends off, and I'm going to take a little bit of glue. Just get that out of the way. Liquid glue. I like to use liquid glue with the yarn. Make sure it dries clear though if you're going to use it. Actually, let me shake this up real good before I squeeze it out. Okay. And then we're just going to put a little bit of liquid glue right there on top of the knot and place this pretty bow right on top of there. And you're going to kind of hide those little ends underneath your bow, and you've got the perfect bow. So guys, that is the secret to making the perfect bow when you're doing cards, is you tie it around first, make your bow separate, and then you are good to go. All right, so now we're going to add this layer to the card base, and I'm going to do that because we've got some bulk on the back. I'm going to do that with pop dots, and these are just dimensional foam adhesive stickers, and they're great for card making because they actually will kind of press down flat when you put them in an envelope, so they don't create a lot of bulk on your cards, but they allow some texture and depth. That's kind of fun. So I'm just going to stick one in the middle here so it doesn't sink down on us. Oh, I should take the sticky stuff or the back off first. Peel that off and then it will stick down. And this card can be sent in the mail. This one's no problem. Okay, so we've got that layer. Now we're going to make the envelope for holding the gift card. And so let me scoot the tool back into view and move these pegs out of the way. And again, I love that there's a storage space for everything on this tool, and it's all right on there, so you don't have to worry about finding another tool or losing pieces. All right, so we're going to pull this out. This is so handy because it's got instructions on the back for making envelopes, banners, tags, and tabs. It's also got a measurement chart here for the different sizes of items that you can make. So we are going to make a 3x3 envelope, which is the smallest size. And that tells me that I need to cut my paper to 5x5. And then it tells me over here that I need to align my paper at 2.5. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So you take this envelope arrow right there and you line it up on the board with the envelope arrow on the board. And there are ridges and notches up here to keep it from moving, so it's nice and secure. And then again, line this up. Hold on, let me flip this back over. And we're going to line this up at 2.5, like it said in the instructions. Oops. All right, there we go, 2.5. And then we're going to score right here along the 2-inch line, which is right just next to the edge of your guide. Then you flip it 90 degrees, rotate it 90 degrees, line your score line up with the score guide here on the guide, and then do the same thing. And you're just going to do that on all 4 sides. And that is going to get your envelope folds. Again, everything's right here on the board and it's super handy. Okay, now we flip this around and we're going to use the envelope punch, which is right here. You're going to take these score lines that you've just made and line them up on the score guides on the board and then punch. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. All right, and then if you want to round the corners, you can put them in here and round them. I'll just show you what that looks like. So you can see we're not actually going to need to do that for this particular envelope because it's a little bit different. So now we're going to just fold and score. And then we're going to adhere the flaps. And because this is a pocket that you want to be able to pull something out of and see something, we're going to trim off the top flap. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and trim right along that score line that I made. Now, if you're making a regular envelope, you don't want to trim that off, obviously. And let me get my double-sided tape. And then we're just going to seal that shut. Like that. And there's your envelope that you can fit your gift card in. And that's a 3x3 little envelope. Super cute. Let's add that to our card with some double-sided tape on the back. And that's going to go. Oh, before we do that, sorry, I forgot. We're going to add a little bit of the washi tape. So this is the Plaid washi tape, and we're just going to put that right at the bottom of the envelope just to add a little decoration. And then you just fold the excess over the back because you're not going to see that. And you're obviously going to do that before you add your adhesive because you're smarter than I am. And then you're going to add that to the card, just right about there, so that you have like even borders around the bottom there. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this label. This is one of the labels that you can cut out from your paper stack, and I've actually trimmed it down. It was actually larger than this, but I trimmed it really tightly so that it fits nicely at the bottom of my card. And I want to round the corners just to add a little bit of decoration. So I'm just going to pop all 4 corners right into that corner punch. And it's got some guides there, which makes it really easy to fit it in perfectly. And so that is now ready to go. And we're going to add some adhesive foam, some pop dots to that, and stick that on. Whoops, I pulled it off. There we go. And then we're going to add that at the bottom of the card right there. All right, and then you are set to add your gift card, a photo, a little, pack of gum, whatever you want to add in there, some money. And this is a great way to give a gift and a card at the same time. All right, before we move on to the next card, does anyone have any questions about this card?
I don't see anything at this moment, but if you don't mind, if you could give the dimensions of that second card. I know you gave the first, but if you can give of the second.
The second layer?
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. I think I put it right over here. I did. Okay. Okay. So the dimensions of the snowflake layer are 3 3/4 by 5 inches. All right. So there's that. And then the envelope paper, you cut it to 5 by 5 to make the little red envelope. All right, so let's move on to the next card. The next card we're going to make is really fun. It's this slimline card with tabs, so it's kind of interactive. And so we're going to make this card. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut, let me see, let me grab my tray here. Get all my pieces off. We're going to cut 3 papers to make the base of the card. And those papers, let me get those measurements for you, are going to be 8 by 9 1/4. All right, so there's that. And you're going to want to do 3 of them, and then score them and fold them in the middle. And I'll show you what those look like in a second. So 8 by 9 1/4. Put that over here. So the first one is from the cardstock stack. It's a nice hunter green. So that's 8 by 9 1/4. And you're going to score it along the 8-inch side at 4 inches and then fold it in half. Okay. And the next one is this red buffalo check, same dimensions, 8 by 9 1/4, score at 4 and fold. And then this nice pretty plaid with the red and green. And that's the same thing, 8 by 9 1/4, score at 4 and fold. All right. So now that we've done that, we're going to set aside this one. This is kind of like the cover for the card. So we're going to put that one aside, and we're going to make some tabs with these 2 papers on the board. So let me move these step outs out of the way, grab my board, put that back where it goes because we're not using it for this card. And we're going to work with the tab punch, which is right here. It's this punch. And what we're going to do is you can make small, medium, or large tabs. We're going to make large tabs since this is a pretty long edge here. So I'm going to start, usually what you would do is you would line up the corner to make us an edge tab that's at the end. You would line it up with this guide here and then punch, but I want to get it started a little bit lower than that. So I'm actually moving my paper so that this edge lines up at the end of the punch there. So it's got like about 1/4 of an inch down from the top. So let's see, can you see that there? Got that little notch there. Now I'm going to flip it over and line up that notch on the large guide on the board and then punch. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do the same thing on this end. Line it up at the end of the punch here, just a 1/4 inch down. Flip this over, line it up on the large right there and trim. All right, so now we're going to trim the excess. So the cool thing about this is on this blade right here, there's a little line, a little guide right there that shows you exactly where the blade starts. So when you line up this notch here, you're going to put the valley of that notch right along the cutting guide there, and then place this line right into that valley and then trim off the end, move it down, start it here, trim off the excess. So there is your tab. All right, and then we'll do that again on the other side. Line it up in the valley, trim excess, and same thing on the end. All right, so now we've got 2 tabs here, and now we're going to use our other page to make some tabs in the middle here. So what I like to do is, and I forgot my pencil, so I'm just going to use my fingernail to kind of make a line with my fingernail. But what I like to do is mark where the end of the previous tabs are. And usually I'll use a pencil for that. And that way I know exactly where to start punching my, my paper to get the tabs in just the right spot. Okay, and I just need to make sure that I can actually see that. Make that nice and tight there. All right. Okay, so let's do the process again. And we're going to use that little notch I just made with my thumbnail and line that up right on the alignment guide on the board right here. And then punch, flip it over, line it up on the large guide and punch. And then the other side, we're going to line up the notch that I made again, right on the alignment guide. Make sure I did that. There it is. Yep, okay. And then flip it over and line it up on the large guide and punch again. And then we'll just remove the excess like we did before using the guides. And that's one thing I love about We Are Memory Keepers is they think of everything. They thought of adding guides and alignment guides to everything. So you never have to guess where you're going to be cutting, punching. It's really easy to use. And this tool comes with a great instruction booklet. We also have on our YouTube channel, video instructions for all of the different features of the tool. So you can figure out exactly how to use it. All right, so now we've got tabs, 4 tabs. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all 3 layers. We're going to stack them together and line them up nice and even. And then we're going to take our Crop-a-Dile again, and we're going to use the 3/8 inch hole, open this up and carefully, let's see, actually I want to move my guide here to 1/2 inch because I want those holes to be 1/2 inch in from the edge. And then I'm just going to punch right along that center line, score line, and do the same thing on the other end. And this is how we're going to bind the book together. So then I've cut a piece of twine, which I've got right here. And this is about 2.5 feet of twine. Okay. And so we're just going to thread that through the holes. And I'm going to go down from the, oops. Okay, hold on. There we go. I'm going to go down from the inside of the card to this, to the outside. Okay. Same thing on this side. All right. And then I'm just going to kind of pull these so they're nice and even and tie a pretty bow. And you're going to want to make sure this is nice and secure. Now, don't pull so hard that you tear the paper, but do make sure that this is a nice and secure binding for your interactive card. And then just tie a cute little bow. And that's going to hold your card together. And then I'm just going to trim the excess. And there you go. So once you've done that, the next step is to decorate the front. And I've got these layers here. All right, so let me tell you the sizes of these separate layers. Okay, so of the dark green plaid, you're going to cut a 1.5 by 9.25 inch strip. All right, so 1.5 by 9.25 inches. That's this one, and that's going to go from the top of the card to the bottom of the card. Then the next measurement is this red plaid, the buffalo plaid, and that is 3.25 by 8.5. 3.25 by 8.5. Okay, and then the green and red plaid is going to be 2.5 by 7 inches. 2.5 by 7 inches for the green and red plaid, and that is the middle layer. So you're just going to layer them like this, with this kind of everything kind of is a little bit over to the left edge, and then you're going to put some double-sided tape on the back of these and stick them together and stick them onto the front of the card, kind of centered and with the green at the top lined up with the top and the bottom of the card. Got that a little too close to the left side. All right, so that's how that's going to look. And then you're going to take, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. All right, we're going to take this Happy Holidays card. This is one of the tags that you can actually cut out from your paper pad. And then I added an eyelet at the top, and I added some twine at the top. And then we're just going to put some double-sided tape on the back, and we're going to stick that over kind of to the right side. Let's see, let's go up a little bit higher. Right about there, so that your twine is kind of at the top of the card. And then we're going to take a piece of this cute little vintage truck washi tape. Love it, absolutely love it. And that's going to go at the bottom here of your tag. And oops, oh, I folded that right over, didn't I? It's a good thing washi tape is low tack. Okay, there we go. And there's the front of your card. Now for the inside of your card, I'm just going to show you how I decorated it. That's kind of the fun part too, is going inside and decorating it. So these are all tags and labels that I cut out from the paper pad, and you're just going to add them inside however you want, whatever you want. You can add photos, you can write like an update letter, you can have a whole bunch of people sign it, you know, maybe from all your coworkers or your neighbors or whatever. And that's a great card to give away. Again, number 10 business size envelope. You can fit that right into there. Okay, moving on. Any questions before we move on, actually?
Not that I can see.
Okay.
Everything has been really positive comments right now. And everybody,
Great.
of course, everybody's loving the all-in-one tool.
Yes, this is my, I swear this is my go-to tool right now. I pull this out for almost every project. So it's a great tool to have. All right. So
Oh,
let's move on.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
You do have one quick question that just came in,
sure.
asking how do you decorate the tabs?
The tabs. Okay, so I actually didn't decorate my tabs, but you can. Let me pull a card back out here. You can totally decorate them. One idea I had was you could cut another tab with the tab punch and just place it kind of on the back here. You can add like little stickers that say hello. You can write something on there, you know, we could write photo, letter, you know, whatever you want to put on there. So you can add stickers and write with markers and, you know, do all kinds of fun little things and add some paper and stuff. So good question. All right. Let's see. Okay, now we're moving on to the banner card. This is a 6x6 card. And we're going to cut this cute little wood grain shiplap paper into a 6x12 strip, or sorry, block. And let me get all my pieces out here so we can make this card. And this is a fun one. Again, I like to, on each of my cards, it kind of has like a special little feature that makes it unique. And the one on this card is a cute little banner. All right. So again, here's the wood grain shiplap paper. I've cut it vertically this way. So this is the direction that the paper actually goes, and I cut it this way. And then I scored and folded. So we have a 6x6 card base that opens from the bottom like that. Okay, let me put the washi tape there. And then you're going to cut 3 different papers to 3x3 inches, 3x3 inch squares, 3 different papers. And I'll show you the papers that I used. I did 2 in this polka dot. Now these aren't in the square shape because I already made them into banners, but they would be square shaped when you start. And the other one I did was this cute little pine tree and snowflake paper. That's 3x3 inches. So you're going to do 3 papers, 3x3 inches to make your banners. And I'm going to show you how to make the banners using this guide. So again, you've got your measurement chart here, instructions on the back. And the first thing you're going to do is determine your size. So I wanted 3-inch banners, and the 3-inch measurement is actually the height. So from top to bottom, it's going to end up as 3 inches. And then it tells me to cut my paper to 3x3 inches and to align my paper on the guide at 1 1/8 inch. So now we're going to take the banner arrow, we're going to turn it this way, and then we're going to line that up here on the board with the arrow on the board. And you can see it's rotated now a little bit. And when you're making the banners, if you have paper that has a specific orientation, like it's got to be facing a certain direction, this one, we need to make sure this is at the top because the Christmas trees or the pine trees are facing that direction. And so this is the top of your banner. The top of your banner is going to go against the alignment guide right here. And again, 1 1/8 inch is where I was told on the chart to line up my paper. And then I'm just going to cut. Then I'm going to flip it upside down, put the top up against the guide again, 1 1/8 inch, and cut straight down. And there's your banner. This is a 3-inch tall banner. And now if I were making a banner that I was going to string along and hang up in my home, like for decoration, then I would use the hole punch, which is right here on the board. And I would line the top up according to the guide here and just punch the holes. Okay. So, but we're not going to do that since this is actually going to just be on a card. So let me add, I'm going to add a piece of washi tape to the top of the card just to add a little bit of decoration. This is the Plaid washi tape. And then I'm going to take some scissors and just flip it over and trim off the excess. Well, let me move that piece out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, so now I have 3 banners with washi tape at the top that are ready to go on my card. So I'm going to move this out of the way.
Hey, Allie, before you move it completely out the way,
Yes.
where you were cutting the tags, does it lock in place?
Yes, so this has some little grooves and notches up at the top here so that when you put it in, it locks into place and then you know it's set there. So that's a good question. All right, so let's add these to the card. This is what we're going to end up doing so you can see. And I kind of do them at a little bit of an angle. And I put the red polka dot ones kind of layered underneath the green one. The green one kind of goes right in the middle there. All right, and let me get my double-sided tape. And then we'll start with the ends and get those lined up here. And I want to leave just a little bit of space up at the top there. Don't want to put it all the way up to the top because I'm going to add some yarn so that my banner looks like it's hanging on my card. It's kind of fun. So we're taking a trend, a home decor trend, right, which is banners and garlands, and we're applying it to a card decoration, which is kind of fun. So you can kind of take a look, you know, at other trends outside of card making, like home decor and fashion and jewelry and stuff, and kind of try to apply those trends to your card making, which is kind of fun. All right, so we've got those three on there, and then I'm going to take some twine, and I'm just going to use my liquid glue. Let me shake that up again. And just put a little ribbon of that, very thin ribbon, right up at the top above the banners on the card base so that I can add my glue up there. You could do this with twine up at the top. You could do this with really thin ribbon. So however you want to decorate your card, it's up to you. But I like the warm and cozy feel of the yarn and the twine. So that's what we're working with today. All right, so once you get that in place, just take your scissors, trim off the excess. And then what I did is I used the bow making feature on the Works tool to make two little perfect bows to add at each end. So I'm going to use my liquid glue again and just add a little ball of glue right on top there. And put that here. And then same thing at this side. Now, the nice thing about the yarn is once it's glued and the glue's dried, when you put this in an envelope, that yarn will just kind of fold over. So it'll fit nicely in your envelope. All right, so we've got those. Now we're going to add a little sentiment at the bottom. And what I've done is I took this tag. This is one that you can cut out from your paper pad. And I just cut out these two words, Christmas wishes, and trimmed them down really tight. And I'm going to add them onto my card with a few little layers. So the first thing I did, let's see, hold on. Okay, so this particular little layer here, this strip, it's the pine tree paper with the snowflakes, is 3 inches long and 3/4 inches tall. So those are the measurements for that. And then I cut a V shape in the end. That just kind of makes it a little more decorative. And I'm going to put that strip down on my card, kind of down here, right up against the side. Then I'm going to take the polka dot paper and I cut this, and let's see, let me grab the measurements for that one. The measurements are 3 1/4 inches long and then 1/4 inch tall. All right. And I cut that one with a little angle on the edge, and that's going to go right underneath this green one. And I'm going to use my liquid glue for that. You don't need a ton, just a teeny bit, enough to stick it on there. All right, that's going to go right here, down underneath. And that's one of my favorite tricks about card making is layers. Just layering things up. Paper is a great embellishment. It's very decorative, and all you need to do really is just layer it up and it looks great. Okay, so Christmas, we've got our Christmas word that we cut out from the tag. Little tape on the back of that. And that's going to go just above this layer, right about there. And then wishes, I cut that out of the tag, and we're going to put a little tape on the back, and that's going to go right below underneath there. And there you go. Fun little banner card. That's kind of a unique shape. That's a 6x6 card, and you can make a 6x6 envelope with the Works all-in-one tool to be able to send that to your loved ones. All right, let's move on. Any questions before we move on?
Yes, if you could give the name out again of the double-sided tape you were using.
Yeah, so this particular one I'm using is it's an American Crafts, but there are tons of them available. I know Michaels has a whole bunch of different kinds. As long as you have use a permanent double-sided tape, you're good to go. They're honestly, they're all pretty good. So,
And
but
what
yeah,
type of liquid glue is that?
this is also American Crafts liquid glue, but there are, you can totally use like, you know, school glue, like Elmer's glue. Liquid glue is perfectly fine. So there's, again, a lot of different options out there for the liquid glue. As long as it dries clear, then you're just fine.
Okay. And then I had someone, maybe, I don't know if you have enough time, if you could show how to make the bows one more time. If you have,
Yes, I
okay.
sure can. Oops, I'm knocking things down. All right, so let me grab the pegs. You're going to grab the pegs, and for a small bow, you're going to keep your pegs close together. If you want a larger bow, you'll separate them further. So I've just got one peg in between. I've got my yarn. You're going to come around the back. This is for single loop, just a single loop. You're going to come around the back, crisscross, right over left. Left now goes up and around, and then you just tie a knot right there. And you can double that if you go around 2 times, or you know, you can do more than 2 times. And then all you have to do is trim your ends and just adjust a little bit, pull it tight, and there's a perfect bow. Super easy. You can also make tassels with this. We're not going to make tassels with this class, but what you would do is just go like this, go around a bunch of times, and then tie it off at the top, and then trim the bottom pieces. And so anyway, that's all in your instructions. There's also videos online for making bows, tassels, pom-poms, all of the things. So you can check that out on the We Are Member Keepers YouTube channel. All right, so next card. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Tags. Okay, this is the card we're going to make now. And we've got 3 tags of the same size. And on top of that is just a really cute sentiment. So let's start with the base. So the base is similar to the first card we did. It's the same size. So you're going to cut an 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece of the red cardstock. So that's 8.5 across here, 5.5 here. So this is like half of a letter size sheet. Then you're going to score and fold at 4.25 right in the middle. And there's your card. Let me pop up those measurements so you can see what they are. 5.5 by 8.5. And you're just going to score right in half at 4.25. All right. So we've got our card base here. And then you're going to make 3 tags. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And they're all going to be the same size. One sec, just grab all my little pieces. Okay, so your tags, you're going to cut 3 different papers from the paper pad. And this is the size you want to cut them, 2 by 3.5. So those are your measurements for 3 pieces of paper. And I'll show you the ones that I used. I used this cute little pine needle one, this cute holly berry one, and this other cute green holly berry. So we've got the white and red holly berry, green holly berry, and then a cute little pine branch or pine needle. Okay, so these are all 2 by 3.5. Okay, so once you've cut those to make the tags, you're going to go back to your guide here, and you're going to cut whatever size tag you want. It could be square, it could be rectangle, it could be, you know, large, it could be small. And you're going to just align the tag arrow on the tag arrow here, like that. And then there's no magic measurement for tags. You get to decide how deep your angle is on the corners. So all you need to do is just place the side of your tag here, slide it down or up until you like where the angles are. Okay, so if you want super deep, a little further forward. If you want them really shallow, kind of come back. So I'm going to line mine up at 1 inch. That's kind of where I like it for this size card. And then you're just going to cut the corner off. All right. And then what I love is they've got alignment guides here that stretch out so you can find exactly where you need to place that again. So here's the 1 inch line, and that's going to extend over. And I'm just going to trim that again. So there's my tag. Right now, we're going to punch the hole. Here's your hole punch right here. And there's a centering feature. So this is a 2 inch tag. So we're going to use the 2 inch centering measurements. Punch the hole right in the middle. And the nice thing is that hole is actually 3/8 of an inch. So it's the perfect size for your eyelets. So we're going to, again, set another eyelet, just like we did before. Oh, and I went and knocked that one out again. Okay, so we're just going to get that top knob in there and squeeze. And there's our eyelet. Then I'm just going to add, here we go, add a twine bow. So let's see, I think I've got 10 inches. Yep, this is 10 inches of twine. And I'm just feeding it through, lining it up evenly, and then we're just going to tie a knot, one knot at kind of at the front top here, and then we're just going to tie up a bow. Now you could technically, if you want, make your perfect bow with this tool and then just glue it on, or you can tie it on actually through the tag like I did. Either way would look very good. All right, so once we've arranged that, got that ready, I've got my others already finished, and then we're going to add those on to the card base. But first, we're going to put a piece of washi tape right across the bottom here. We're using that cute little vintage truck washi tape again, and that's just going to go right across the bottom. And then we'll flip this over, and where are my scissors? Here we are. Trim off the excess. And now we are ready to add our tags with double-sided tape, which is, here we go. All right. Whoops, I should open that first, right? All right, just a little bit on each tag. And then let's see, I think I want to put this one here, kind of at an angle, like that. This one goes on this side, again, at an angle at the same place as the other one. So they're pretty well even. No, that one's not quite as angled. There we go. Okay, and the middle one goes right over the two and kind of goes up just a bit higher and kind of centered there. All right, now what I did for the sentiment is I took this little card, this little tag or whatever you want to call it, label, cut it out, and then I trimmed out the ornament like this. And we're going to use that for our sentiment. And I think I used pop dots. Yes, I did. So we're going to put some of these pop dots again around and stick that on just to get a little bit of dimension on the sentiment. Oh, let's put one more. Oh, it stuck to my fingernail. That's what happened to it. Okay. Let's see this one here. Okay. And that's just going to kind of go down here. And then our card is ready to go. Nice and fun. And again, this one features the tags. That's kind of the hook or the feature on this card. And that's ready to send. All right, last one, guys. Let's see how we are on time. All right, we'll go through this one pretty quickly. It's not too hard. Okay, so this is a Christmas tree card. We're going to first cut the base. This is a 5x7 size card that opens on the right side. And then we've got our strips and we'll make a Christmas tree. So let's get out that snowflake paper. And we're going to cut the snowflake paper to 10 inches by 7 inches so that we can make our card base. Bear with me 1 second while I get all my little strips out. and get those ready. But so your snowflake paper will be 10 inches by 7 inches, 10 inches across and 7 inches tall. And I'll show you that. So 10 inches across. Here I've got my little sticky note so you can see. 10 inches by 7 inches. So 10 inches across, 7 inches tall, and then score and fold it 5 inches right there. Okay, so 5 by 7 card. This is a nice card for fitting in a really pretty 5 by 7 family photo if you'd like to print those up. All right, so we've got that ready. Then you're going to cut 5 strips of paper. They're all going to be 1 inch tall. So let's go through each of these sizes. We're going to use that pine branch or pine needle. That one's going to be 4.5 inches by 1 inch. 4.5 inches by 1 inch. That's your first strip. Next is this cute little, and by the way, save your scraps because that's what I'm using. I'm just using scraps from the other cards. So hang on to those little scraps. So this is 1 inch by 3 3/4 inches. All right, 1 by 3 3/4. And then the next one is going to be 3 inches by 1 inch. And that's this cute little green plaid, the dark green plaid, 3 by 1. All right, and then we've got 2 1/4 by 1 inch, and that is this red and green plaid, 2 1/4 by 1 inch. Okay, and then the last one is this, the pine trees and snowflakes, and that is 1.5 by 1. Okay, so those are our strips. And hang on, I'm just going to put these all back so that we can do those again. Okay, so let's start. Oh, and then I forgot, let's see where I put it. Here we go. You need a 1 by 1 inch square of the red embossed cardstock that we used earlier. 1 by 1 inch strip for that. That's the bottom of your tree, the base of your tree. Okay, so let me see. We're going to start with this. That's going to be our base, our guide. So let me grab my tape and we'll put some double-sided tape on the back of this. And we're going to place that like about 1/4 inch from the bottom. And here's how I like to make sure I center it. I put it on my mat here and I've got, you know, the 5 inches, and then I'm just going to center that on 2.5 and then up 1/4 inch. Okay, so that's where we're going to start. And then we're going to go with the largest strip first. Tape that and align that on there, centered, and we're just going to go from there. Keep going, taping these, and they're just going to sit right on top of each other, and it's pretty easy to eyeball them to get them in the center. If they're not exactly perfect, that's totally okay because handmade cards are handmade, and that means that they're not exactly perfect, which is part of the charm. All right, add that there, and then this one on the top. Okay, and let's talk about the sentiment for a second. So this is another one of the little tags or labels that you can cut out from your paper pad. I trimmed it down and then I rounded the corners using the corner rounding punch on the tool, which is this one right here, but you put it in from this side. And then I matted that or layered that on top of some of that red embossed cardstock. Okay, so let's see. I think I've got my measurements for that. I do. So the black ends up being 2 by 1 7/8. That's how you're going to trim that one. And then the red cardstock ends up being 2 1/4 by 2 1/8. And that gets you a nice, pretty mat there. Okay. So then we're going to, let me see, put some pop dots on the back of this. I think we just need 2 for this one. And then we can add the sentiment, and then we will work on a pom-pom. I'm going to show you how to make a pom-pom, which is really fun. Okay. That's going to go down here, kind of centered on these 3 bottom strips here. Okay. Pom-pom. Let's see. Let me grab a bunch of yarn. Okay, and bring this back over. get our pegs out. And again, this is going to be a pretty small pom-pom, so I don't need a lot of space. I think I just put two holes in between the pegs for this. And so you're basically just going to wind and wind and wind and wind your twine. I didn't really measure how much. Just realize that the more twine that you add or yarn that you add, the more you wrap around, the fluffier, thicker your pom-poms are going to be. So if you want a kind of a thinner looking pom-pom, that's cool. Don't wrap it around that many times. If you want a really nice thick pom-pom, keep wrapping, just keep wrapping, keep wrapping. I'm probably not going to wrap as much as I normally would just for the sake of time, but we'll get a pretty good amount around here so you can get the idea of how to do these pom-poms. And again, the bigger the pom-pom, the more space you're going to put in between those pegs. All right, so we've got that, and then you're going to cut a length of maybe 10 inches, and we're going to slip the edge underneath and tie it nice and tight in the middle. Now, if you want to hang this pom-pom, you're going to leave some excess for this. You're going to, you know, however long you need for that, for hanging, but we're not hanging this one. We're just gluing it onto a tree. So I'm going to do a square knot, right over left, left over right, and tie that nice and tight. Okay, so now we're going to pull this off, and all we're going to do is cut these loops so that they're free, not loops anymore. Okay, one more. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to give this guy a haircut. We're going to give it a shave, and we're just going to keep cutting all the way around and cutting and cutting and cutting. And this process takes a little bit of time, but the tighter you cut, the shorter you cut this, the fuller it's going to look. So I would just keep cutting and cutting and cutting and fluffing, and here's what we end up with. All right, and I wound quite a bit more on the pegs for this pom-pom than I did for that one. I just wanted to show you for the sake of time how it goes. And then you can just keep trimming till you get it exactly how you want it. Now for this particular pom-pom, since we're adding it onto a card, I cut the bottom here. I cut it so it has a flat side. Normally you would want it all nice and round, but for adding to a card, I cut a flat edge on there so that I can glue it down. And so I'm going to do that now with my liquid glue and just put a pretty good amount here on the flat side. And then this is going to go just at the top of the card here, right in the center. And I'm just going to kind of wiggle that around a little bit and press into the glue. All right, and then what I also did is I made another one of these double bows with the pegs, and I'm going to add that with a little bit of liquid glue right underneath the pom-pom. A little bit of glue there, and just stick that right underneath and press that down, and we are done. Yay! Isn't that cute? How fun. Now this one, because the pom-pom's pretty bulky, you're going to need to send this in a kind of as a parcel, so like a padded envelope, or you can hand deliver it if you're, you know, maybe a safe porch drop, we should say. All right, so any questions, any more questions about the tool, about any of these cards?
No, it looks like everybody was enjoying everything. I've already explained to everyone that the class is being recorded and that it should be available on Monday on both michaels.com/classes as well as on the Michaels YouTube channel. So,
all right.
That's it.
Great. Thank you so much, you guys. I so appreciate you coming. I appreciate your patience with our technical issues up front, but hopefully we got all the information out there. And again, this tool is just invaluable for you as a crafter. It's also a great gift if you have a crafter in your life that you need to find a gift for. This is a great way for a beginning crafter to kind of get their feet wet and try out a lot of different features on the tool. And it's great for on-the-go crafting, small craft spaces. So grab you one of these. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great weekend and happy card making and happy holidays. Bye.